So, Master of Science in Toulouse. So you have one internet site where you have all the information, but I will try to describe broadly the various masters and then go into some details of why you Singaporean people can have a strong interest to make some studies in France. So why Toulouse? So Toulouse is proud to be the second city of students in France after Paris, and with more than 120,000 students and 134 research labs. So there is a strong links between universities and research laboratories, with 15 graduate schools and around nearly 1,000 PhD each year get graduated. So we have more than 9,000 staff dedicated to higher education and research. So you know that in France, education is quite different from other countries because the fees are very low, and even at university, we try that every students which are viable is able to go ahead toward a highly diploma. But a part of the university interest of Toulouse, there is other interest, like the position in Europe, which is quite at a crossing point. It's an international hub with Airbus company, which has its headquarters, but also a strong interest in spatial research and application. Like, for example, the robot on March, Curiosity. Some of the instruments on this robot are pilot from Toulouse. So Toulouse has also a strong history. It was an ancient Visigoth capital, and with this really nice past, you have a lovely architecture in the city centers and a lot of tradition like rugby. You are not so far from sea or ocean, and of course you can enjoy some skiing in the Pyrenees, which separates France from Spain. But if you go to Toulouse, it's not to make some tourism, even if you can on the weekend, but it's more to get a valuable master. So we have engineer schools which are INSA, INP, and ENSFEA, with various specificity, but they are grouped together in order to offer to you seven international masters. So at a glance, our master, so for French students, after the secondary school, they will go to university and to reach a bachelor in order to get a master. So there is one specificity in France, is along the classical university, you have also what we call engineering schools, which is not the same shape of university. You can see that like secondary school, but for higher diploma. It's smaller schools with more interdisciplinary perspectives and high valuable students. So it's kind of really qualitative universities. So when you come from abroad to apply to a master, you need to get either a bachelor, okay, 3 years, in order to integrate in the first year of the master. But you can also directly go into the second year of the master if you have a 4 degrees bachelor. A bachelor degree with 4 years of professional experience. So what about the details of the different masters? So I will firstly present the master Agrofood chain, which is focused on sustainability and innovation. So in this master, you will develop some specific knowledge, method, and skills to diagnostic problem at a all-inclusive process, develop a prospective analysis of emerging needs, and also be aware of the future needs, because you cannot be prepared for the future if you don't think at the present time. You will work with different stakeholders for the elaboration of innovative and sustainability answers. So this master is dealing with very current problematics, specifically for Singapore, which want to reach a 30 by 30 objective for food independence. The COVID situation has shown in Singapore that we need to produce locally a new agricultural, and this can bring you really adequate skills. So the course are taught in English, and you have the master email just below. Okay, just let me check the time. The second master that I would like to introduce is Industrial Biotechnology for bio-based economy. So you know that we are running out of fossil energy, and we need to think differently the way of production. So there is a strong biotech research institute and transfer institute in Toulouse, which is so the most important, or nearly the most important, scientific synthetic biology department in France. And for this, you know that Singapore has also a strong development in biology, like in Biopolis, and that biotech will be the future of the organic chemistry. So by dealing with this master, you will learn a lot of skills from scientific point of view, but also from ethics, regulation, sustainability, and life cycle analysis. This is not only some scientific skills, but all-inclusive knowledge in order to develop some products which are positive for biotech industries needs. So the teaching is delivered by lecturers and researchers for university, ranking among the 300 best institutions. So for example, this institute has established collaboration with NUS and with A-STAR, and I'm a part of this as a visiting scientist. And you can have you will have a full semester abroad in other universities. So this is also interesting because you will have some French teaching and French experience, but you can also have a synergic mobility during your master in another, for example, European country. The master dealing with water engineering and water management. So as you know, in Singapore, the water sustainability is a massive issue, so that we have tackled in the last decades by building some reservoirs. But we still need to import some water, and it will be more and more challenging. So having a nice view of water engineering and water management, and a clever and engineer view of the problematic is a key point for Singapore. So in this master, chemical engineering and hydrology will be taught, and the water treatment and water science as well. So we can also have some interdisciplinary approach, like biological and chemical reactors for pollution removal. Think to unit operation for separation of high quality water production. As you know, the Marina Basin become a fresh water before it was a seawater. So this kind of barrage and membrane engineering has already proven that they are a key player in Singapore. So in this master, you can develop some skills which are needed for your country. As I mentioned in the introduction, Toulouse is one of the world key players for spatial engineering. And of course, the universities are linked to these labs. And the Master of Electronic System for Embedded and Communicating Application deal with these problematics. So you will be in contact with international students in the field of electronics. And this master provides the most up-to-date teaching in electronics for embedded systems, which is, of course, important for spatial application, but also on a daily and domestic life. You know that AI is becoming a key player in industry and on our daily life. So this master will give you some hardware skills for this new field. The Master of Green Chemistry and Processes for Biomass will teach you how to develop a product in a sustainable way. So it's using the transformation of renewable resources by catalytic or biotechnological means. You will have an eco-design approach. So compared to the biotech master, this one is more focused on the processes in biotechnologies, which is the current bottleneck in most of the biotechnological project, where the upstream part of the project is more or less manageable, but when you need to scale up to industrial pilot, then the problem occurs and you need to have some good engineer to overcome this. Then the Master of Science in Fluids Engineering for Industrial Processes will give you some skills in modeling of the fluids for coupling the chemical reaction with the flows, the heat and mass transfer. So again, when you scale up a process, you will have to face all these pipe and reactor chemical and physical issues. And we need engineers which are able to handle this kind of problematics, whatever the application domain. And I would like to describe the Industrial and Safety Engineer Master. So you know that in France, we have a lot of nuclear energy. So safety for us is very important, as well in Singapore. You know that if we want to have a stable production in a company, we need to avoid any kind of safety issues for to protect the employees and to have a correct production of the compounds. So this master is interesting in the sense that it's independent of the application domain, and you will have a legal, economical, and social environment view of one process. Electrical and energy system. I mean, as I mentioned, we are running out of fuel. So we need to use electricity from renewable sources and also optimize the utilization of this energy in our devices. So Toulouse is quite proud of Airbus successes. France has also developed a high-speed train. And this came from engineers with this kind of background. So all this teaching is not disconnected from reality or from industrial network. We have really strong incorporation of the industrial network in the teaching by internships, for example, by some industrial speakers coming in the master to explain their daily job and to explain their issues and needs. So you will develop this kind of network. And what will you do after your master? So in the Occitanie region, in the Toulouse region, this is the first research and development region in France. But you can also have a PhD program after this master, which is 3 years in France. The tuition fees are 9,000 euro for 1 year. So it's less than 15,000 Singapore dollar for 1 year. But there is various options for reduction, which can be down to 5,000 euros, which is less than $9,000. So how to apply? So just keep in mind this internet site, which you will have all the information. You can fill out the dedicated form and contact the master or director. So don't be afraid to write and ask directly to the master director, because they are always happy to answer to a student question. And I think they are the best interlocutor to understand deeply what is proposed in their own master, what is the possibilities, is there some company which are looking actively for some candidates and so on. So do not hesitate. So if you still have some doubts, which is normal at this stage. So first, Toulouse is considered the best French town for students, according to various newspapers. So honestly, I was born close from Toulouse, and from my own experience, I can confirm that it's a really nice city to live. There is a lot of sun. So for example, close from Toulouse, there is one solar system which is developed, and it's not, it's very logical that they install close from Toulouse due to the light we receive each year. The living cost is not so high in Toulouse. So for example, renting an apartment in Toulouse, you can find for less than $700 with no ROI. And what is also interesting in Toulouse is it's in south of France. So you have the French efficiencies, the French industrial network, and the French space and aircraft skills. But as it's close from Spain, you also have this kind of coloration of Latin and Spanish atmosphere, which you can feel it at the end of the day. Of course, each school in the master have a lot of students' activity, student life with various associations. You can go for skiing. You have what we call the Catrel Trophy, the typical iconic car in France, where you living from Toulouse and you go to Morocco through Spain. A lot of music, of course, wine degustation. We are not so far from Bordeaux. Even if Bordeaux is not the best place for wine, you will discover this when you will test it in France. So what about the COVID situation? I would say that in France, you have a strong health insurance system. So once a vaccine will be available, it won't be a worry for the population. But meanwhile, we have to deal with this virus as we do in Singapore. and in France they do similar things like wearing a mask, online courses, everything. So the situation is not so easy to handle, but it's handled in France. I would like to highlight some general advantage to come in France. So first, you will have access to French educational level. We'll acquire a professional experience in a French lab, which the research in France is very high level because of the system. It's not like in other countries where you have a researcher have a position for few years, okay? But in France, researchers have a life position, okay? So it means that they are not worried to lose their job. So it means that they can express their creativity and go to more risky scientific way, okay? And on a long-term perspective, it's much more valuable than a short-term view. And what can prove this is that we are in a strong international network with very top world-level collaboration like MIT, Imperial College, Oxford, and so on. So you can secure the possibility to continue to a PhD, of course, make new friends, enjoy our green and peaceful campuses. So I think it's important for Singapore because, as you know, you are living in a city, and even it's in a city in a garden, it's still a garden. It's not wild nature. So when you go to have a walk in Marc-Ritchie, you can feel a little bit what is wild nature. So in France, wild nature is just at the doorstep, which is also a really nice experience. You will learn French language, which is useful because you're already speaking English, so you need to have a second language, and you will discover another culture. So now, why Singaporean in France? I would say Canberra. You will have an experience of the French style of thinking and living. And it's not a kind of a tourist pitch. It's really a deep feeling because ethic consideration are really part of scientific direction, and also the kind of freedom spirit, which can be sometimes quite funny from seeing from outside, but this freedom spirit will enhance creativity and combine this creativity with the Singaporean efficiency is very strong and powerful combination, and this is what I'm living here, and it's able you to tackle current society challenges. The second point that I would like to highlight is you will acquire a professional vision which is different from the Anglo-Saxon paradigm. So for centuries now, Anglo-Saxon are dominant on view is dominant on the planet, but things are changing. Equilibrium are changing with China rising up, the Brexit, and so on. So this is the future world will not be so 100% Anglo-Saxon. And this is an advantage for Singaporean multilateralism, which is your DNA. You are not focused only on Anglo-Saxon view. Your country is a center, and it is really a key player because it can act with all the countries in the world. Of course, it can act with states, with China, and so on, and it wants to protect this freedom of acting with everyone. And I want also to highlight that France has strong interest in South Asia. As you know, historically, France was in Vietnam, and the links are still strong and good. And we are following the South Asia market evolution, which is due to demography, a very important market in the future. Then you will extend your international network with a Europe team leader country. France and Germany start Europe. England now with the Brexit is more isolated. And there is a lot of massive company, French company in Singapore, more than 800 subsidiaries are in Singapore, like Airbus, Alstom, Decathlon. If you do some sport, you know that like Decathlon, Thales, Total, Veolia, some Dior, luxury brand, Hermes, and so on. So the last slide is, hope to see you in Toulouse. You can visit this site to have more information or write to this email address. Please feel free to contact me. I'm here for a long time. So if you want to